What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC Vegas 6, Derek Lewis versus Alexei Oleinik. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Draftkings MMA picks video. This time we are breaking down UFC Vegas 6. We have a pretty solid card here, 12 fights. Coming off of a very interesting week, to say the least. We had an 8-fight card. A couple fights getting pulled off the night before. We had a fight, Gerald Meerschaert, Ed Herman, getting pulled off an hour before lock. And then, of course, Trevin Giles, fainted or something a couple minutes before the fight, and that ended up being off as well. So it was a very weird week. I did pretty well, believe it or not. In all my double ups, I did not have Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland was 65% owned in cash. Was able to get off that chalk, luckily. And then in all my single entries, I did not have Kevin Holland as well. So ended up doing pretty decent. Surprisingly, after a pretty, weird card all around. Was able to almost get that optimal lineup. Was looking pretty good going into the co-main event. I needed either Calderwood to win or Shabazian to win to get that optimal lineup. Was in a pretty good spot, I thought, but both of them were not able to get it done. I had some Brunson, I had very little Maya. So as for the GPP, it went okay, but it could have been a lot better if either Shabazian or Calderwood could get it done. But it happens. Moving on to this week, looking forward to it. We have a very exciting card here. I think there's going to be a lot of finishes. The main event is very interesting, and we'll talk about that real soon. But before we get started, if you guys can leave a like, also subscribe if you haven't yet, would really appreciate that a ton. Moving my way up to 6,000 subscribers soon, hopefully. So thank you guys all for that. Just a couple announcements. I will be going live, as always, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, going over the weigh-ins, final thoughts, and all that. And then I'll be going live as well at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Odds HQ. Just, touching, over the weigh-ins and all that with a couple great guys on there. So check that out as well. But with that said, let's get started with the video. So we're going to look at the fight. Doesn't go to decision lines here. And on the last video I did, I had about 5 fights, with the fight doesn't go to decision lines. And 4 of those never happened. So hopefully this card stays intact. You got Lewis Oleinik minus 675. Fight doesn't go to decision. I think we all know that this fight's going to end inside the distance. Both these guys, pretty poor gas tanks. I really don't see this going past the 3rd round. I don't see it going to the 4th. I'd be surprised if it did. So someone's going to get finished. I'll talk about it in a little bit, but not so sure you need this fight this week in DraftKings. Lewis is someone who, hasn't had a first-round finish since like 2015. Looking at his record, a lot of his finishes come in that 3rd round. He has a few in the 2nd round as well. But, at the beginning of his career, it looks like he has a lot of first-round finishes. But lately, I don't know what it is. It seems like he's saving his cardio for the later rounds, and maybe that's what he's doing. So I don't know if you really need, Lewis or Oleinik. Like, if Lewis gets a 3rd-round knockout, he's not going to hit value whatsoever. Lewis is someone who just does not throw much. Derek Lewis only lands 2.5 significant strikes per minute, which is the 2nd worst on the whole slate. And if anything, just more interested in the Oleinik side at 7,500. But if you think that Lewis is going to get a first-round finish, then yeah, I'd load up on him. But I'm pretty hesitant to play Lewis at that price tag of 8,700, because if he goes into the 2nd round and gets the 2nd round finish, that's 70 points there. Say he lands 20 strikes, that's about like 80 points right there, 82, 83, 85 points there. So if he does not get that first round finish, I'll tell you guys right now, he's not going to be in the optimal lineup. And I don't know, I don't really like the play this week, but if you do think he's going to finish in the 1st round, play him. So Holland Buckley, minus 385. Fight doesn't go to decision. We all know about Holland. He was supposed to fight last week. This could be a very easy matchup for Holland, or this could be a closer matchup than the line indicates. So this Buckley dude, he looks pretty solid. He looks like a beast on tape, but his trouble is that ground game. And if Holland can take him down or tries to take him down, I think he's going to submit him. But with Holland, we don't know about his IQ, so maybe he wants to strike with Buckley and try to knock him out. And at that point, this fight could be a little closer. This Buckley dude has some power. And I do see someone probably getting finished in this fight, and most likely it's going to be Holland. Holland does have a big reach advantage and a big skill advantage as well. I think he's the more skilled fighter by a good margin, but I will have some Buckley just in case. But I'm probably gonna load up on Holland, although he is like 9,400. So Stuart Patolo -170 fight doesn't go to decision. This is probably my I'm most intrigued on this fight because I do think it scores high either way. You got Stewart at 8,600. If he wins, it's probably going to be by knockout. You got Patolo. He's an underdog. He's like 7,600 if he wins. Maybe he gets a knockout. Maybe he gets a submission. Maybe he wins a decision. Either way, I find it hard to see this fight not being on the optimal lineup. I think this is going to be an absolute war. It's probably my pick for fight of the night as well. So I do like that fight to target. Dariush Holtzman -135. Fight doesn't go to decision. I mean, you got Holtzman with the power. He could always knock out Dariush. But I'm really banking on Dariush maybe getting a submission. I think that's very likely. And Dariush has some power, so maybe he can knock out Holtzman, although Holtzman is very tough. But probably going to go to decision, but I would not be surprised if Dariush or Holtzman did get a finish there. So Mean Staropoli there, -135. Fight doesn't go to decision. Lots of durability questions surrounding Tim Means. Maybe Staropoli can get him out of there. Staropoli isn't really a power puncher, but I mean, where is Tim Means' chin at right now? So maybe it's enough to get him out of there. Staropoli is more of a volume guy. Maybe he can get a finish with racking up all the volume and eventually hurting Mean. I don't know, but Means is someone who does typically finish most of his fights. So if there's a finish, it's most likely going to come from Tim Means. He's 7,900 there. Means has finished 83% of his fights. Staropoli has finished 78% of his fights as well. So we'll get into it a little bit more, but it's a fight you probably do want to target right in that mid-range there. So core plays here. Yusuf Zalal, I like this play quite a bit, 9,300. Just watching the tape on his opponent. They call him Slippery Pete, Peter Barrett. So he gets himself into a lot of bad positions on the ground. And if this does touch the ground, which I do think it will, because Barrett has pretty poor takedown defense, and he has a good wrestling game as well. So if he does take down Zalal, I think he's going to get submitted. And if Zalal takes him down, I think Zalal is going to submit him as well. So man, I like Zalal at 9,300. I think the finish is really going to be there. Hopefully people are looking at his last couple fights. Did not score well in his last fight, but this is definitely a winnable fight for sure, 100%. And this is a fight where he can get a finish because I've seen Barrett, almost get submitted like 15 times. Like he gets himself in these deep guillotines, he gets himself in these deep submissions, and just barely gets out. And that's not going to slide against someone in Zalal. So I do like Zalal at 9,300. Justin James 7,900. I like the price here. The line is closing in. He is now +100. He opened up, I think, like +150. So, the money's coming in on James, and by fight time, this could be a pick'em, or James could be a favorite even. So I'm going to probably bet James, but I want to wait until the weigh-ins. If he looks good at the weigh-ins, I'm probably going to place a bet on him. Honestly, I think he could be the slight favorite here, but the line's fine where it's at. So James is a finisher. He's finished about 9 of his fights in the first round. So if this finishes, it might be in that first round. We saw in his last fight against Frank Camacho, like he comes out here and he tries to finish the fight early, and that's what we like in a DraftKings play as well. But yeah, I like James 7,900 quite a bit. Lots of finish upside there, and I even can see him winning a decision as well as long as his cardio holds up. So Kevin Holland 9,400, just a big mismatch in skill here. If Holland wants to take him down, I think he can get the submission. I think he has the better submission game by far. It's not even close. But like I said, we don't know with Kevin Holland's IQ. He's probably going to stand with this guy, and at that point, it could be a closer fight. But I do think he's going to get Buckley out of there. Buckley does not have the best gas tank at all. I mean, neither does Holland, but I do think Holland will be able to get him out of there. It should be a fun fight, and I do think Holland's going to finish him. So 9,400, I think it's safe. I do like Zalal a little bit better, but Holland does have some upside himself. So Chris Weidman, might get a little bit of hate for this play here, but Chris Weidman at 8,000, when he wins, and I know it hasn't been too often. I know he has been knocked out a ton of times, 5 times in his last 6 fights, but this is such a winnable fight for Chris Weidman here. Just looking at his DraftKings scores, whenever he wins, 113. 124, 94, 95, 96. Like whenever Chris Weidman wins, he scores well. So if he wins, he's probably going to score well. It's probably with volume, with takedowns, maybe some advances. Maybe he even finds a submission here against Akhmedov. So watching tape, first of all, I'll say pre-tape. Pre-tape, I was really liking Akhmedov in the spot, but just after watching tape, like Weidman, this is such a winnable fight for him. Like he is better everywhere besides the durability, and Akhmedov is someone who hasn't had a finish since 2015, I believe. So, I mean, he hits hard, he throws everything into every shot, but he's someone who does not throw with much volume. And I just think, Weidman can either, stay safe from the outside, use that length, use that reach. He's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage, or even go on the inside, get a takedown, just fight smart. And this is a must-win fight for Chris Weidman as well. Like if he doesn't win this fight, he's going to retire most likely. And if he doesn't, he probably should. So, Weidman 8,000, yeah, I like that as a core play. Will I have some Akhmedov just in case he does get that knockout? Of course I will. But the line is, getting wider on Weidman. We're getting a lot of line value as well. Weidman's like minus 140 right now, so people are really seeing what I'm seeing, and they do like Weidman quite a bit. And I do want to bet him, but man, I wish I would have got him at like minus 110. But he should win this fight as long as his chin holds up. I heard he's been training with Stephen Thompson. Hopefully Thompson's giving us some tips there. But I do like Weidman quite a bit. I know it's risky, but man, it's such a good play if he does if his chin holds up. So Nasrat Haqparast 9,100. I think this play could go a little bit overlooked here. Nasrat Haqparast is someone who is a finisher. He hits very hard. He's finished 82% of his wins by knockout there. And Munoz, he's a good wrestler. I think he will be able to get Haqparast down a couple times, but not enough to really sway the judges there. He's not going to do much with the takedowns. He doesn't have the best top control. I think Haqparast is good enough to get back up on his feet. And when it's on the feet, it is honestly Haqparast all day. He has a big striking advantage, the power advantage. And I think he's probably going to knock out Munoz here. So at 9,100, Haqparast is going to want to bounce back from, what happened last time with Drew Dober, got knocked out in that first round. But he's going to want to bounce back, put a statement on this fight and knock out Munoz here, and I do think he does. At 9,100, he's going to be probably the lowest owned in that range. You got Dariush up there. Lots of love for Dariush. You have, of course, Holland. You have Zalal. So I do think he's going to go a little bit overlooked here. So I will have some of him. I'll be a little bit overweight to the field on that Haqparast play there. Darren Stewart, 8,600. Man, such a close fight here. I think this should be lying closer to a pick'em, and the line is closing in a little bit. But if Stewart wins, it's most likely going to be by knockout. So Stewart does not, throw the most volume, 2.96 significant strikes per minute, but he does finish a lot of his fights. He has finished 64% of his fights by knockout, over half of his fights there. But I do think Pitolo could edge this fight out if he does go for takedowns, if he does land the more volume, if Pitolo's chin holds up as well. But man, if Stewart wins, he's probably going to be in the optimal lineup. I can see a first-round finish. I can see a second-round finish. If he gets a third-round finish, it could be a little bit iffy on getting on the optimal lineup because he does not throw that much volume. But I don't mind Stewart at all as a nice GPP play there. So Beneil Dariush. So the line opened up. Dariush was like minus 150, I think. And DraftKings, for some reason, made him 9,100, which it kind of sucks because I was really liking Dariush if he would be in that like 8,600 range, 8,700 range, but for some reason they made him 9,100. So honestly, I don't know how much of Dariush I'm actually going to have, but you've got to mention him here. He's going to be a pretty good play. Dariush is someone who typically scores well when he does win, and this is a pretty winnable fight here. I think he's the better fighter overall. If he can get a takedown, I think he's really live for a submission as well. So Dariush in his last 3 fights, he scored 94, 110, 111. Before that, 87 in a win. Before that, 60 in a win, 133 in a win. So the upside is really there. It's just if he stays striking with Holtzman, I still think he has the advantage there. It's just the durability concern with Dariush is something to really look at there. He has been knocked out, I believe, like 3 times. But his chin held up in the close fight, and he was able to come back and get that nice knockout on Drek Harklose there in that last fight. That was awesome there. But 9,100, I don't love the price, but I will have some because maybe he does outscore Holland or he outscores Zalal, and he will be lower owned than both those guys. So I don't hate it. So Amari Akhmedov, 8,200. If he wins, we all know it's going to be by knockout. He's not going to win a decision against Chris Weidman, I'm assuming, unless he drops him a couple times and you know that. But if he wins, it's probably going to be by knockout. So 8,200, I'm going to have some for sure. You'd be not smart to not play Akhmedov in this fight because Weidman has been finished in 5 of his last 6 fights. And Weidman is 36 years old, so I will have some of Akhmedov. And honestly, this will be a fight I'm very high owned on. I do think the winner of this fight is optimal, right in that 8,000, 8,200 range. I do think it'll be optimal either way, so I do like it there. Derek Lewis, gotta mention him here. Not the prettiest play in the world, but if he gets a first round knockout, he'll be optimal. It's just I don't know if he will be able to do that. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, like he hasn't had a first round knockout since 2015. We're going to go over his scores here real quick on DraftKings. So, Alir Latifi, 3-round decision. He scored 40 points. Very concerning there. He only landed 20 significant strikes. And I had a bet on Derek Lewis in that fight, and I thought he lost. I really did. He got taken down like 3 or 4 times by Latifi, was held there for a couple minutes at a time. They gave the win to Derek Lewis, and I wasn't too sure about that, but I couldn't complain. I had a bet on it. Before that, Blago Ivanov, he won a decision, 54 points. I mean, this is not going to win you any type of contest at all. Before that, got knocked out by Dos Santos. Before that, got knocked out by, before that, got submitted by Cormier. After that, he won. We all remember the fight with Volkov. 39 strikes landed. 3rd round knockout. He got the knockdown. 80 points in a knockout there. Then he won a decision against Francis Ngannou, a 40-point victory. Another 40-point victory, landed 20 strikes. Like that was in 2018. Tybura, 3rd round knockout, he scored 91. So that was good. And then after that, against Brown, 2nd round knockout, scored 103. Before that, he had a knockout, scored 68. So I mean, it's really hard to play Derek Lewis with any confidence. And I'm not even sure he even wins this fight, personally. Like, he gets taken down in pretty much every fight. He gets taken down a lot. He gets taken down easy. He has a 53% takedown defense. And Oleinik, he's 43 years old, but he is very, very strong for, someone who is that old, someone who is, has fought so many times. And I do think Oleinik gets him down. I do think Oleinik maybe even can submit him. Like, Lewis allows people to go into mount. He allows people to pass. So I don't think you could do that against Alexei Oleinik. But by the time Lewis, gets taken down, tries to get some rest, try to get some air in his lungs, like Oleinik's already going to be working for a submission. Oleinik's going to be in the mount, already. So, man, I like Oleinik in this fight, but if Lewis does get a 1st round knockout, he'll be optimal. It's just I don't know if that's going to happen. He hasn't done that. I don't believe in the DraftKings era that DraftKings MMA has been going on. So, probably going to be underweight to the field. It will be high owned because it is the main event, and I'm assuming Lewis is going to be about anywhere from 35 to 40 something percent owned. I don't think he's going to go in the 50% range. I don't think so at all, but I will probably have like 20% Lewis. I don't want to play too much of him. I mean, because there is that chance. Maybe I'll just bet him to win by knockout or bet him in the 1st round, because if he gets out of the 1st round, he's not going to hit value there. So Yana Kunzakaya, 8,800. This is a play that could potentially be very low owned, and that's something that intrigues me here. So Kunzakaya has a 64% finish rate overall. And this Stoliarenko girl, she's a very tough girl. Stoliarenko has been knocked out twice. But, Kunzakaya could come in here and get a finish, and it would be at low ownership. She does have some very nice volume, lands 5.24 significant strikes per minute. And we all know Fight Metric, pretty much doubles any significant strike that women's MMA throws for some reason there. So, yeah, I don't hate Kunzakaya as like a very low-owned pivot off of, Derek Lewis and some of the guys up top. And if she wins, maybe it's enough to get in the optimal lineup. Maybe she gets a finish as well. So, I don't hate that just due to the ownership and how low-owned it probably will be. I think a lot of people are going to see Kunzakaya and most likely fade her there. So I do have interest in that aspect, but honestly, I'm not even sure she wins the fight. But I do know this is a fight I do want to target, believe it or not. All right, so we'll get into the live dogs here. So Alexei Oleinik talked about it a little bit. Like, he's probably going to get Lewis down. I don't think he's not going to get Lewis down. And then when he does, he's going to be transitioning into side control, into mount. He's going to be getting those advances right away. He's going to be working for a submission very, very fast. He knows he got to work quick before Lewis does what he does and just jumps right up. And I do think Oleinik submits him, but there is always that chance that Lewis knocks him out. But so looking at the odds here, Oleinik is now a plus 160 underdog. So Lewis opened up, I think, like close to minus 300. So that line's coming in, and yeah, I like Oleinik at 7,500. If I were to play this fight, if you told me to make one lineup with Lewis or Oleinik, I'd go Oleinik there. So he could get knocked out, but I think there's so much upside there at 7,500. If he wins in the first, second, or third round, he's going to hit value there. Maki Pitolo, 7,600. He looked very good in his last fight against Bird, and when he got finished there in that second round. And I think he's the better fighter. I'm not too high on Darren Stewart. Darren Stewart gets taken down very easily. I think Pitolo can take him down here, and the line is coming in on this fight as well. Pitolo is now a plus 125 underdog. Wow. So that line is closing in quite a bit. We're going to get a lot of odds value here on Pitolo. And although Darren Stewart has never been finished, there's a first time for everything, and Pitolo puts a lot of volume into his fights here. He throws a lot. He throws a lot more than Stewart, almost double his strikes, and he does throw with some pretty decent power. They call him coconut bombs there, and I do think there is some upside to maybe win a decision. Whether it's just outlanding Stewart, taking him down a couple times. I don't see him controlling Stewart, but maybe he finds a submission. He has a pretty good submission game as well. So I don't mind Pitolo, 7,600. He, absolutely smashed against Bird. He was like 7,300 last time. Tim Means, 7,900. This play is kind of tough. Means is 36 years old. He's on his way out, but, he is a dangerous fighter. I have seen Staropoli hurt before, and I have seen him. I believe he's been knocked out before as well. So, yeah, I do think Tim Means always has a shot to win a fight. The line is pretty close here. Of course, some love for Staropoli there. Staropoli has been knocked out once, and I've seen him rocked before as well by Alves. But I do like, Means as an underdog shot here. I'm personally not picking him to win, but he is a dangerous fighter. He's finished 83% of his fights, and there's a rumor going around that he's going to come in here and try to get takedowns, try to work a submission game. And if he did that, I do think he has a pretty decent shot at winning this fight. So a pretty close fight here. And when Tim Means wins, he typically scores very well because it typically is a finish. So, don't hate Tim Means. I think it's going to be pretty low owned. I think there's going to be a lot of ownership going on Staropoli because of pretty much a fade on Tim Means. But, Tim Means is still a good fighter. He has had a couple bad performances in a row, but, he's still Tim Means. He's still a good fighter there. So, taking a look at some of his scores and wins here, his last couple, 112 in a win, 110 in a win, 75 in a loss. What else? We got 106 in a win, 62 in a win. So, yeah, the upside is really there for Tim Means. He's going to bring the fight. He's going to make this into a brawl, and would not be surprised at all if he got the win. So, Al-Kazi, 7,300. Watching tape, I do like him to win this fight. I have seen Rivera taken down plenty of times. I've seen Rivera controlled for a whole round at a time, and Al-Kazi is a very strong guy. Like, checking out his Instagram, this dude is built. I do think he can get takedowns. He has very good trips, very good takedowns. Top control is not all that. But I do think there is some upside in playing some Al-Kazi. Probably low ownership. It is the first fight of the night as well. So even more low ownership there because nobody knows who these guys are. First fight of the night. And, I like to target that first fight of the night. Like it typically finds its way onto the optimal lineup, and I can see it here. On the flip side of things, maybe Rivera gets a knockout, but this Al-Kazi dude looks like a tough guy. And he does have some, like I said, good takedowns, good submission game as well. Maybe he finds a submission there. So 7,300 is worth a shot for sure. We got Stolarenko here at 7,400. This girl is a finisher. She has finished 90% of her wins by submission. And I have a feeling, just a feeling in the back of my head that Kunzakaya is going to take her down. Like, that's what Kunzakaya does. Kunzakaya averages like three takedowns per 50 minutes. And it's definitely part of her game. And I think Stolarenko will be gladly be on her back because that's her path to victory. And, she's not awful on the feet as well. So I think she's very live here. And, of course, it's women's MMA. Nobody's going to play this fight. It's going to be very low owned. I don't mind a shot on Stolarenko at 7,400. I mean, I personally not picking her to win, but she is very live here and very live for a finish as well. So pump plays, Scott Holtzman, 7,100. Lots of question marks with Beneil Dariush's chin there, and Scott Holtzman does hit hard. Scott Holtzman has only finished like 30% of his fights by knockout though, so I think Dariush will be fine. But just in case Dariush's durability does not hold up, Holtzman is a fine play at 7,100. Also going to play some Buckley just in case Holland pulls a stun or something, because that's pretty likely as well. So just want to point out, like, now is a perfect time to become a Patreon. Lots of you guys signed up last month. Thank you guys so much for that. We're at about like 130 something. Members would like to get to 150 sometime this month. You get full access to my model with all the stats. It's where I get all my stats. It takes me a couple hours. I have to build it by hand, unfortunately, but don't mind doing that every week for you guys. My premium projections are based off of the Vegas odds, so they're pretty legit there. I have been working out the past couple months. I've been using those. My GPP lineup percentages, my premium breakdown and strategy video, and then my DraftKings article as well, where I touch on the cash core plays, the fights to target. If you're into reading articles, I do a very nice article on there, and very good price as well. I make the price so you're able to sign up at any time of the month, whether you want to sign up at the end of the month. It's definitely affordable. $5 for the MMA package, $10 for the MMA premium with the premium breakdown and strategy video and all that, and the premium model in there. So I make it so I can so you guys can sign up whenever you want. So if you don't want to sign up yet, you can sign up later in the month, but now is a great time to sign up, especially since we have UFC 252 next week. It's going to be a big card, lots of big prizes in there. But that's about it for me, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Also subscribe if you haven't yet. Would really appreciate that ton. Check me out on live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on my channel, and then 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Odds HQ YouTube channel as well. Come show some support in there. Leave a nice comment. Really appreciate that a ton. But good luck, guys, and let's win some money.